In this section, we'll look at the background to World War II and the rise of fascism. If you're going to talk about the causes of World War II, you really got to go back to World War I. While the causes really go deep into European history, World War I left Europe really economically weak and politically tenuous, and it created the perfect combination to encourage anger and radicalism. World War I involved 28 countries, and it caused $186 billion in direct cost and another $151 in indirect cost, and it left an entire generation, about at least 7 million people, dead or disabled. It completely uprooted the political world of the late 19th century, and it led to the end of 4 monarchies. It led to the rise of the communists in Russia, and it really ignited colonial revolts in the Middle East and Southeast Asia. It just was a bombshell and sort of set the table for World War II. World War I ended when the German Kaiser agreed to abdicate, give up his throne, and flee to Holland, sue for peace. The reason that the Kaiser agreed to abdicate was because President Woodrow Wilson had issued his 14 points. Wilson, you may recall, had called for a peace without victory. Wilson, an idealist, assumed that when the victor took all the spoils and really was harsh on the loser, and another war was inevitable. And so he called for a fair adjustment of the boundaries and the disputes that had caused the war. And the Kaiser assumed that Germany was going to lose, and so this was, he felt the 14 points was something that that he should encourage, and he agreed to abdicate. The problem was a lot of Germans didn't agree. The line had not yet gone into Germany, and a lot of Germans felt that Germany should have kept fighting. Moreover, the Treaty of Versailles that followed really did not completely incorporate Wilson's 14 points. For Germany, the nation lost a lot of land in the east. It lost some land in the west. It had a demilitarized zone in the Rhineland. Its military and army were limited. It was really, to the Germans, quite harsh. They felt like it was not the 14 points that they'd been assuming. And so again, a lot of Germans were angry by the Treaty of Versailles. Probably most significantly, Germany had to accept a war guilt clause, in essence saying that the war was all her fault, and to pay for all the damages. The Treaty of Versailles provided for a reparation commission to set a total figure that Germany would have to pay. And in the spring of 1921, the Reparations Commission set the figure at 132 billion gold marks, the equivalent of about $31 billion in 1921, or probably about $10 trillion today. The figure really outraged Germany, ensuring that any profits they made in the post-war years would go to the victors. The high reparations ensured that Germany would have a weak economy after the war. With Germany struggling to pay, the Reparations Commission formed a committee to study the matter, and they ended up agreeing to appoint a banker and the former director of America's Bureau of the Budget, Charles C. Dawes, the committee's chairman. What Dawes proposed became known as the Dawes Plan in 1924. The idea was to stabilize the European economy and make it possible for Germany to pay reparations. In addition to allowing the reparation payments to build up slowly, the Dawes Plan allowed private U.S. investment banks, under the supervision of the Department of State, to loan Germany the equivalent of 800 million German marks, or about $2.5 billion. And with this money, Germany could stabilize her economy and establish a new currency, the Reichsmark. It would then make reparation payments annually of about $2.5 billion to the Allies. And with the reparation payments coming in, of course, the Allies could then repay the loans the United States had given them during the war. The United States would be insured of its wartime loan repayments, and the agreement would help all economies recover. In 1928, the arrangement was tweaked still, again, with the so-called Young Plan, which reduced the amount Germany had to pay to about $2 billion a year. Anyway, while the circular national system helped, it remained tenuous, in large part dependent upon the continuation of private U.S. bank loans. The bank loans, of course, stopped when the Great Depression began. Without the bank loans, the German Weimar Republic couldn't make its reparation payments. The Weimar Republic tried to stimulate Germany's economy by expanding the money supply, but the result was horrible inflation in the Reichsmark. People found that it was actually cheaper to wallpaper your house with Reichsmarks than it was to take the Reichsmarks and go buy wallpaper to do the job. Put it another way, the discontent in the Weimar Republic was exploding. The Weimar Republic had already not been very popular, but now with the inflation and the struggling economy, it was very unpopular. Of course, in time, without the German reparation payments coming in, the Allies defaulted in their wartime loan repayments to the United States. The Dawes Plan unraveled completely and ensured that the Great Depression spread and deepened. Radical elements in all countries grew. Two of the most famous radical groups were the far left communist and the far right fascist. Fascism was a form of authoritarian nationalism. It's imbued with a sense of militarism and often race. It viewed the liberal democratic government, such as the Weimar Republic, as too weak to maintain order and stability. A strong leader was necessary. The fascists drew their name from the Roman fasces, a symbol carried by the legal magistrates in ancient Rome. In Germany, the fascist movement began early in the post-war years with the dissatisfaction from the Treaty of Versailles and the unpopularity of the Weimar Republic. It also was popular among those who felt like the Kaiser had sold out Germany by advocating and suing for peace too soon. It grew alongside the radical communists, but it was often in competition and conflict with the communists. The fascists organized in about 1919-1920 as the National Socialist German Workers' Party, whose acronym in Germany was Nazi. The Nazis stressed the purity of German blood and heritage and attacked the communists in what they called the International Jewry. The anti-Semitism had, by this point, a long history in Europe, by the way. The Nazis eventually adopted an ancient symbol of good luck, the swastika, as their party's emblem. Joining the party early, the Austrian-born World War I veteran Adolf Hitler quickly became the party's leader. Hitler later claimed to be the seventh member of the party, but because of his amazing oratorical skills, was elected its leader in 1921. This concludes the section on the rise of fascism and the groundwork for World War II.